Keeping up the same tradition, today we have a very, very special guest. Let's talk to Mr. Srinivasu Malladi.
Dr. Raj, for leadership, we take this couple of important dimensions: drive, achievement orientation, has to be very important.
You never entertained self pity.
For my rank, I would have become a DSP, a DYSP, and probably by this time would have become a conferred IPS around 10 years back.
Hello, and welcome back to HR Footprints podcast series. We call this as Leaders, Lives, and Legacies. The whole attempt has been to connect with leaders from diverse fields, speak to them, understand from their personal lives, personal experiences, some of those insights which are not really written anywhere else, but they are available only in their memories. So we try to listen to them and draw rich learnings. And we've been very, very happy that many people are appreciating this whole effort of leaders' lives, legacies, because it's really enriching to listen to leaders from diverse fields. Keeping up the same tradition, today we have a very, very special guest. Otherwise, you might actually call this person as one more HR leader, but I find something very, very interesting, very, very personally insightful. Let's talk to Mr. Srinivasu Malladi, who is currently at a very senior position as HR leader with Bharat Forge Limited, a company that we all consider as an Indian multinational, which has got more than 60 years of legacy. I'm sure we are going to derive rich learnings. Let's welcome Mr. Srinivasu Malladi. Hello, Srinivasu. Welcome. Welcome to this podcast.
Hi, Dr. Raj. Thank you very much for inviting me for this podcast. Really excited to speak to you and through you to the larger audience and the HR fraternity.
Thank you so much for sparing your time and very readily agreeing to share your experiences and perspectives. So let's get started. I'm always curious to learn about leaders' foundations, how it all started. What has been your family background? Maybe a bit about your parents and your early education, or maybe education till your master's. So, how has it been? Very briefly.
Yeah. So, what a person is depends a lot on from where he comes from. Actually, I come from a very, very humble, I'll say lower middle class or poor kind of a background, where it was a big family. Mother was working in a state government department as a typist, and our father was not there. My parents were separated, so essentially was brought up by my mother as a person and as an individual, and come from a very, very humble background where even making two ends, meeting two ends of the day, or having a three meal was itself a challenge, at some point of time in my career. Now, this particular dimension, I always proudly say, coming from a very humble background, poor background, has instilled a couple of values in me. The bigger value was, the value of hard work. How do we come above the poverty, or come above, or rise, or have aspirations beyond what we are circumstanced as a kid. I had a lot of challenges, so obviously somewhere the strong resolve to come up in life, do the hard work, have this achievement orientation. Dr. Raj, for leadership, we take this couple of important dimensions: drive, achievement orientation, has to be very important. I'll tell you, I have not learned that anywhere, but my own circumstance has propelled me or instilled that achievement orientation. Try to do something very big, or something worthwhile in my life. I think that's the background I come from. So I studied born and brought up in Hyderabad, more specifically Sikandrabad area. Now Secunderabad, if you know, is a very multilingual, multicultural society. You know, you have Gujaratis, you have Kannadigas, you have Marwadis, and I studied in a Gujarati high school, only because that was the lowest cost and probably the best alternative available to us at that point of time, whatever we could afford. So I joined that school, and I studied from right from KG to 10th class. I came school first, so had a very bright academic background. I would say from right from being a kid, I was always good at studies, and one of the reason I was good at studies is, again, that whole desire to do something good, achieve something big.
Yeah.
So I think, and I think one more facet, being in a multicultural, multilinguistic society was, you would have noticed I'm a polyglot. I can speak 7 languages, so of which I think 4 to 5 languages: Kannada, Gujarati, Hindi, a bit of a Marathi. I had a foundation when I was a kid. So one more interesting insight I derived is, as a kid, you have a lot of memory, a lot of processing ability. Unfortunately, today, our kids lose all these things to various TVs and electronic gadgets and social media and stuff like that. But in those days, I grew up in a milieu where there was not even a television at our house, and so obviously a lot of uh, learning has happened very informally. You know, speaking to neighbors, picking up their languages. And as a HR leader, when you tell me, I handle responsibility across the country, and I handle, operations in Tamil Nadu, Gujarat, Maharashtra, and wherever I go, I know I speak the language of my employees. And I think if you actually trace back that, it's basically had to do with my childhood, wherein I could learn multiple languages. So the only, I think, 2 languages I deliberately learned, one was Tamil and one was Marathi. Other 5 languages were very much there from the childhood. So I think I come from such a background which has both given me advantages and disadvantages. There's nothing, uh, uh, in terms of the desire to grow, in terms of picking up language skills, having to navigate through multiple cultural, audiences. And then I went on to do my, plus two from a college called Little Flower Junior College. Those days it was very prestigious college in Hyderabad.
Yeah.
You had
Yeah.
to write
Yeah.
entrance test, and I secured a seat in that college. And I think, uh, again, my mother had challenges even to fund that. Those days it was 10,000 rupees. Today, for an year, 10,000 doesn't matter anything, but yeah, those ways it was a very big amount. So I think from that I struggled, and then I did my BCom honors from Vasavi College of Commerce. Again, BCom honors, those days was only in 6 colleges in Andhra Pradesh, in Hyderabad, and Vasavi was the top college. So what happened is, my entire batch from Little Flower Junior College, the entire 30 odd, I mean, there were 30 seats, so almost 20 of us just went from Little Flower Junior College to Vasavi College. It was like a migration of, people. And one of the interesting insight, if I reflect back into my childhood, is, a lot of things I did was more on trial and error basis, because obviously there was nobody who could guide and tell what to do, right? So it was more like, a friend or an environment kind of taught something. For example, when I went to Little Flower College, people said, instead of doing a BCom, let us all write the entrance test for BCom honors. Those days there was an entrance test, so we all wrote that. We
Mhm.
got through that, and again, the same set of people came to, this Vasavi College in Lakdi Kapul. And then again, people said, oh, let's do an MBA. I hardly knew what was an MBA, to be very true to you. And again, people applied to different colleges. I know my mother just gave me about 6,000 rupees and said, this is all I have. How many colleges you can apply, whatever you want to do, just do it. So I could only apply to the top 6 colleges, and for my rank or my score in the cat, probably I couldn't get into a very top college. But then, again, I joined Hyderabad Central University for MBA. I wrote that entrance examination, got there. So I think if you look at the childhood, while it has had its own shares of ups and downs, but also it has made me what I am today in terms of my personality, my hard work, or couple of traits in me as a leader. We would talk later, but those are all because of my childhood. And I lacked one thing, and I think I keep telling people, lack of guidance, and can be
Mhm.
very, very dangerous in life. And the reason I say this is, you know, I was a bright student, but nobody even told that you can take a group called MPC and do engineering. Uh, of course, it was conditioned by the financial condition, but also by lack of awareness as to what a person could achieve, or what he could probably grow by taking a particular graduation versus another particular stream. So it was more a trial and error, kind of groping in the dark, kind of finding your own pathway, and then leading to MBA. And once I went to Central
But
University.
amazing, amazing. So far, I think it's been such an inspiring kind of a journey. The lively, I mean, the childhood and the way you looked at the life itself. I am
Yeah,
just listening to you. I think you said hard work is something, and you nurtured an aspiration, achievement orientation. All of that is one part. But I also sort of just heard you the way I think you're speaking and you're reflecting back. I also felt you never entertained self pity, which is very very normal for anyone who's surrounded with such kind of a tough situations, to feel
yeah,
self pity and then sink into it. You can never come out of it. I think the biggest takeaway for me for the last few minutes of listening to you is never entertain self pity within you, irrespective of the circumstances you are in, because only then you can actually explore anything to come out of that situation. If you start awarding yourself this pity, then I think you just settle for it. You just get used
yeah,
to that. I think that's one. The second one I noticed is, while of course you say that you didn't have much guidance during those days, but I must really say that you are surrounded with right people who
yeah.
possibly nurtured you to go into BCom honors, then into MBA, though you didn't know anything about it. I
Yes.
didn't know you were blessed to have that kind of a satsang all around you. The people
Yeah.
who possibly did not misguide you, at least. If there was no
Yes.
guidance, that is okay, but they did not misguide you, because these days I think your influence on your friend circles and other people, the social media is so much, you can easily get distracted. But you are very blessed, that way. So these are the two other insights that I sort of gathered after listening to you.
Yeah, I just want to take a moment from there, Dr. Raj. You made a very profound statement. The self pity. See, I think we all in life will undergo various situations where you are pushed back, you are surrounded by a lot of negativity, either because of the circumstance, financial conditions, family circumstance. It could be n number of things. Even as a leaders, as when you work in a corporate or anywhere for that matter. But I think if you start self pitying you, and I think you're gone. I think whenever you are in a tough situation, always there are two possibilities. One is, I want to beat this, come out of it. The second is to do self pity and succumb to it and get, hey, why is it happening to me? I think somewhere you are right. I call it very divine blessing in my life till now. I think God has been kind that He has pushed me to the former path where I take it as a challenge and try to overcome it, not try to get into the other route. And the second thing is, yes, I think couple of friends in my life, because again, where you are, the kind of people you work with or you study along with. See, Little Flower Junior College at that point of time, all the toppers of the state, I mean, I'm talking about United Andhra Pradesh at that point of time, would actually compete to get into that college. Because if you go back, the top ranks in MSET, the top ranks in any of the competitive exams, it is the children from the students from the Little Flower Junior College who would be there. And I think somehow getting into that institution and surrounded by a good bunch of people who were themselves quite bright and had that desire to grow in life, I think that was a turning point. So once I did my
Yeah.
BCom honors, and I think then the MBA happened, so it just flew through there. But till that time, it was actually trial and error. Somebody said, okay, let's join
Mhm.
Little
Yeah.
Flower, join. Then somebody said BCom honors, okay, let's try it. Okay, the good part is I also got through the because of as I said, the blessings of the God or my hard work. I got through those people, and I think those people
No.
continued. good 5 to 7 years in my life,
I must
studying
say that
together.
all your institutions have been really noteworthy. I mean, anyone who knows
Yes.
a bit about Hyderabad would really appreciate Little Flower College and Vasavi College and University of Hyderabad, which is very well respected as a central
Yeah.
university. I'm sure. I think, yeah, fantastic kind of a background, despite all the toughest situations that you faced early in your life as well. But just before
Yeah.
we switch to the next topic, I really want to pause here. How did your mom actually carry this whole responsibility? What did you observe now when you reflect back? What are the two, three qualities that possibly worth noting, reflecting for us from such a great lady?
So I think, again, she was also guided by a couple of motives. I'll say, the motivations rather. Somewhere she wanted to prove that, being a single mother, she can bring up a child well in the society. And second thing was, her own ability to do everything just for my sake, in terms of spending for my education, or giving whatever comforts, uh, whatever she could afford. The third important factor for her was, I think, somewhere she realized that, uh, education, I think, she herself was just matriculate pass. Somewhere she realized that, at least my son should be a postgraduate, at least he should have a professional education. So whatever means she had, she would stretch, she would borrow, she would do everything just to, keep myself going. And I think one of the biggest motivation for her was, I think, bringing up a child alone as a single parent. And somewhere I see very intuitively to prove a point that, yes, even with a father, without father, and even with very limited means, somebody can probably, bring up a child and, succeed and show that, yes, this is what I have achieved in life. Because herself had very limited interests in life, I would say. She would just go to office, work hard, come back again, work, do the household stuff in the house. So I think she herself had very, very, very limited interest other than my well-being, and to prove to a point to the society that, yes, a single woman, with whatever she could, she can bring up a child. And then I think that was what driving force for her. I would, if I
Fantastic,
reflect back,
fantastic.
these are the two major things which drove her in her life. And I think when I
I'm just
settled in
scribbling
life.
here. I'm just scribbling here based on what you just mentioned. I think a strong resolve to prove
Yeah.
yourself. I think that's one very, very important thing. Very, very deep resolve. And the second one I also notice is I think when you are a little low, I think the powerful weapon is to discover a sense of purpose. I think that
Yes.
seems to be the one, the magic that she adopted. While of course
Yeah.
all of this is in hindsight, we are learning, but I think the very
Yes.
purpose of the chat is to learn from the experiences and draw those insights. So if you have a sense of
Correct.
purpose, I think it will just keep you going. And when you're lost without any sense of purpose, it's just going mundane. Then I think
Yes.
your motivation will keep sinking. So I think have a strong
Correct.
resolve and have a sense of purpose. That these two weapons can really pull you out of any kind of tough situations. Great
Oh,
learning
absolutely.
and pranams to your mom. Wonderful,
Yeah.
wonderful.
So, and I think a couple of career inflection points happened in Central University. Now, I go to Central University to do my MBA, and for that matter, I'm a topper, I'm a gold medalist there. I topped in each of the 4 semesters there. So, uh, but very range, or I mean, very strange thing happened. I was surrounded by, people like Dr. Haragopal, Professor Shanta Sinha, who had their own leftist ideas. And I was then actually started motivated to do something for society. So
Hmm.
it was a bit of a very strong paradox, I would call, because somebody doing an MBA, a lot of my friends, a lot of my circle would be from political science, sociology, listening to them, spending time with them. And then I realized that, okay, now that you are we have reached some level by the time our circumstance also has been improved. Then I realized that, should you only limit to getting a job, or do you want to do anything larger for the society? I think that is where the whole thing of civil services started kicking in. And you would know, Hyderabad Central University even today ranks second after JNU or Delhi University in terms of the social sciences. Of course, overall there is a ranking, but in terms of social sciences, the kind of professors, the kind of intelligentsia which is there in Hyderabad Central University is top notch. So here is a student who joined MBA, studied HR, and then was motivated to do or was inspired by a bit of a leftist ideals and wanted to do something for the society, and therefore the whole notion of civil service started. And
Mhm.
in fact, I didn't sit for campus. Being a topper, I didn't sit for campus.
Okay.
I don't want to do a job. I would, after my MBA, pursue civil services. This idea somewhere started when I was in graduation, final year. But I
Mhm.
let me do an MBA as a backup, as I said, because all of my friends were doing. But then I also knew intuitively that, once you are in a civil services kind of a competitive exam, the success is not guaranteed, because it's a very, very difficult ball game. And I think recently some of the movies like 12th Fail and all have tried to capture it to a larger extent, but I think it is much more beyond that. So I think I did my MBA uh, purely because of a backup agenda, that, in case I miss out on the civil services, I would probably have a job in hand. And that's where my whole civil services dream began, because of
Mhm.
the environment of Central University, rather than my childhood, I would say, because the childhood was more
Okay.
characterized by to settle in life, earn money, that's it. But
Right.
here is a paradox where get into Central University and the entire thought process changes. So that's
But
the
you
big
you you
inflection
you
point.
you did nurture this idea of civil servant, right? You did fulfill that desire somewhere. I can see
Yes,
that
yes,
in
yes.
your career trajectory. When
Yeah,
did
yeah,
it
yeah,
happen? When did it
yeah.
happen?
So what happened was, when I was in this after my MBA, while I was in MBA, I just casually tried to uh, so one of the motivation was to be in Delhi. Why Delhi? Because Delhi is known for civil service coaching. Okay, despite all the
Mm-hmm.
recent wrong things which are happening in Delhi with civil servant students, but yeah, those days Delhi was the only place where you could probably do coaching for civil services. And I was actually going to planning to go to Delhi, but I thought a job plus coaching would make sense, because I would start earning and be kind of self sufficient.
Okay.
I wrote this entrance exam of MTNL, which was a government PSU trying to hire management trainees for the first time. So I appeared in the exam. I topped on an all India basis. I went to Delhi. I started working as a management trainee HR, and of course became an assistant manager after 1 year. And then when I was in Delhi, I started actually thinking deeply about civil services, coaching, studying, because obviously I was alone in Delhi. So during that time, I just casually gave a civil service attempt, which was a very futile attempt, but it failed. It failed miserably, because I thought you can just casually go and write with some, 1 2 months preparation. Right? That was absolutely not the case. So I failed. So then I was also looking at, why not state civil services. So then this group 1 notification came, what it's called a group 1
Right.
notification
Right.
in Pradesh.
Yeah.
So again, luck. So actually, before I applied, the the notification was issued by the previous regime, and for some 100 and odd posts. And then 2004, Dr. YSR takes over as the chief minister. Then he has given a bigger notification of more than 500 kind of vacancies. And
Okay.
also there was an opportunity to apply to people who did not apply for the first time, because now the vacancies were increasing. I think that is when I applied. So again, that was quite accidental, I would say, because when the first time the notification came, I was still, I think, studying, in the last year of my MBA, and I probably didn't pay attention to it. But after some point of time, the entire shift happened, and then I think I applied. Then I cleared the prelims, mains, and then I interview, and then finally in 2007 I joined the state civil services as a deputy registrar of cooperative societies. And again, I'll tell you one of the small story there. For my rank, I would have become a DSP, a DYSP, and probably by this time could have become a conferred IPS around 10 years back. Lack of awareness, lack of knowledge, pressure from the family that, hey, police job is very tough, and you can't be a police. So again, I chose something which was a very office kind of a job, and not a police job. But for my rank, I secured 25th rank in the group 1 exam. I would have
Mm.
easily become a DY, deputy superintendent of police, but had to let it go because of family
Okay.
circumstance.
Okay.
My mother was against me taking up a police job, being the only son. So I think, always again compromising, or reconciling to whatever. So next 4.5 years, I worked in various capacities in Hyderabad, Medak, multiple places, in multiple
Yeah, that
roles.
was fairly a long stint. It was
Yeah,
not
so
short
four
at
and a half
all. It
years.
was,
Yeah,
yeah, size. Yeah.
yeah. But then
So,
I realized that it was not something which is. While I was in the group 1, I also wrote the IAS exam, which is the a success and a failure story. I'll
hmm.
just take it you through. Yeah. So again, when I was in a group 1 as a class 1 officer working in Hyderabad, I also appeared for this UPSC exam, and this time cleared prelims, mains, interview.
Hmm.
Then I realized that after securing a rank, I was rejected for being diabetic. So this is the only case in the history of
Okay.
independent.
Okay.
Yes, very very funny, very very strange. Uh, Probably I would say my fate, or whatever you want to call it. But after clearing all the hurdles, I know I was declared medically unfit for being diabetic. So I did made my own effort, but not the effort probably which resulted to undo the disqualification and get into the civil services.
Hmm.
And I think that's the time. I think I just wanted to bring about a next important topic. I think resilience is very important in life. We kind of underestimate it. You know, in leadership, Dr. Raj, there are many competencies, but I think as a leader, you need to be very resilient. You will have failures, you will have situations where you have to bite your own words, go back on your own decisions, do a lot of the things which you probably don't like, but every time you have to come back strong. And I think resilience is this biggest virtue. I think humility and resilience are very important virtues of leadership, what I have learned over the period of time. And
So this upset happened when you were serving as the civil
yeah,
servant
in the
in
states,
Andhra
yeah,
government.
yes,
Okay.
yes,
And was this the trigger for you to step out of the
yes,
civil servant kind of thing and
yes,
then get into corporate? Was this the
yes.
trigger?
Yes,
Okay.
I think this was
Okay.
the trigger. I
Hmm.
think I wanted to get into a larger,
Okay.
IAS, this kind of a role, and I think
Hmm.
I did clear the exam. I'm a
Yeah.
rank holder.
Yeah.
But once it didn't happen,
Hmm.
obviously there was a lot of disillusion in my mind, and
Yeah.
I thought, is it worth now? So then, obviously, certain things in the state civil services which I was not very happy about it. So then I decided to pursue my corporate career, and
Okay. Okay.
I started from scratch again. I was
Yeah. Yeah.
uh, probably at the same CTC or same level in 2011, which probably I started at 2003 at my career. And I joined GSK in their Rajahmundry factory, which is a manufacturer of Horlicks and various other
Yeah. Yeah.
products.
Yeah.
as an assistant manager and a welfare officer. And I
No, but
think
you worked in some very very good names. I mean, and in terms
yes,
of the career, the way you started off with the GSK, then Dr. Reddy's, then Johnson and Johnson, and then I think the other one was Granules. So I think lot of interesting, very well
yes,
known names. Yeah, that's
yes,
very
yes.
nice.
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
So I think, yeah, I think GSK was the best thing to happen in 2011. Though I could not work for long there because obviously I was restarting my career, and I had to take a grow faster because I had to catch up on my career timeline. But yes, that was a good time because GSK again rehired me in 2016. If you actually see my
I could see
career,
that. I could see that.
they have
Yeah. So
rehired me
you
four
had you
levels.
had a second innings. You had a second innings.
Yeah, purely
Right.
based on
Yeah.
the merit and my work for that 1.5 year which I was there with them. I was rehired in the same factory as the site HR head, and again worked for more than 4 years there before I moved on. So a lot of the lessons or a lot of my leadership or my knowledge or whatever you can call is because of companies like GSK, Johnson and Johnson, Dr. Reddy's, which are
Mhm.
known for its practices, HR practices,
Right.
talent
Right.
development, and stuff like that. So
Right.
a lot of good things happened in my life, and Granules, again, again a good company in Hyderabad, provided me a larger role of from one factory to handling six factories spread across multiple locations. First time
Mhm.
working with the CXO and the promoters directly in my
Yeah.
career. I think
Yeah.
these good opportunities I got very early in my career, I would say.
So how long did it take for you to get over that sense of loss or upset of that diabetic issue? uh, uh, because of that, you lost that IAS opportunity, the civil servant opportunity. How long did it take? I mean, all these are the subsequent very positive stories. But did it take for too long for you, or you got over that once you got busy with the corporate roles?
So it's like this, I would say. Yes, after my second stint in GSK, I never had to look back in the career. It was
Okay.
going on, racing ahead. But I think if you ask me honestly, Dr. Raj, the pain is still there.
Uh,
Because uh, and why I say so, because it's not easy to clear civil services, especially
yeah,
the mains exam. Prelims is still
absolutely.
okay. The
No,
mains
you
exam,
finished. You finished the entire process. I think
yeah,
for a
it's a
different
rank holder.
reason. I think
Yeah,
yeah, it was lost. So
yeah.
yeah, I
So
can see that how much of loss you might be experiencing, but you're sort of holding on and moving on with other promising opportunities that life
yeah,
offers anyway. Right.
because
So
by the time,
yeah. So
by the
it's we are already at 32 minutes into the
oh,
conversation. We didn't realize it at all, but
yeah, yeah,
but very important. I don't want to miss this opportunity of talking about Bharat Forge
yeah,
as a a lot of people call it as Indian multinational kind of a company which has
yes, yes,
got such a long standing, maybe a little quiet in terms of the overall media and all of that. But anyone who knows a little more about this solidity of this company will have a lot of respect.
yeah.
So, what are the interesting HR priorities? Whatever that you could share, anything confidential, we are not going to discuss. But what are the things that happen in Bharat Forge in terms of the HR agenda? What are the top priorities?
So I think in Bharat Forge, as you rightly said, one of the promising Indian MNCs, Dr. Baba Kalyani, is a Padma Bhushan awardee, very visionary leader. He started with forging business, now entered into defense, aerospace, EV business, and multiple businesses. And as a group, it has multiple businesses. Now, as a Bharat Forge, which probably I take care, our one of the foremost priorities is talent development. Why? Because
Okay.
as a company, we are in a transformation journey. We are into a different leg of growth, and for us, talent management and talent development has been one of the very foremost HR agendas, if you ask me. Why do I say so? Because you know, you when you start as a company, you are into growth. A lot of these things happen to you, but along with that, if the you need to also, you know, grow your talent and develop them, so that these are the people who will take you to the next level of growth, and you know, address the next set of challenges which come through when you are a big mammoth compared to what you were, let's say, 10, 15 years. So I think talent development, talent management is one of the foremost priorities. And the second biggest priority for me as a HR is, you know, uh, again, this company has been a leader in forging, machining kind of a space, but a lot of competitors have also entered, and managing the cost structure, which is very efficient and which is very frugal, I would say, is the second biggest priority. So I think a lot of important you know, agenda around how do we keep our cost under control, how do we optimize
Mhm.
the cost, how do we automate the processes, because I think we also realize that automation, AI, and you know, the next generation of IoT technologies, these are going to define the way shop floor is going to run. So how do we one, you know, while keeping the cost because of the competitors and the pressure, the next important thing is capability building, because a shop floor operator who was more for that matter, why operator, even shop floor leaders, I would say, who are more handy in a mechanical manual kind of an operation, how do
Yeah.
we take them to the IoT digital kind of an environment, which requires lot of investment in terms of their learning and development, capability building. And I think we as a company are doing a lot of good stuff around that, and still a lot more to be done in terms of the capability building, and especially pivoting
There, I
around
just
the.
want to pause. There, I just want to pause. There's a very, very vital point. A lot of organizations keep talking about the digital transformation, adopting the newer, methods, etc. But what has been specifically HR's role in this digital transformation?
I think HR's role in this digital transformation is to, you know, create couple of important interventions. One is to first identify who are the earliest digital enablers, or who are the people who are earlier adapters. Because see, if you
Mhm.
have, have about 5,000 workforce, strong workforce, I mean the permanent workforce. Now, in this 5,000, not everybody would be adapting the digital technology seamlessly, right? There will be people who are the
Yes.
early movers, there will be people who will follow and all. So HR's entire role is how do we create a set of early adopters and then train them, you know, design the curriculum which is more relevant and more relevant for the operations, as well as how do we mold the individual towards, you know, upskilling himself, and then tying up the reward and recognition with that. Because see, we also run a lot of unionized workforce. So even for
Mhm.
the unionized workforce, we have a system of giving their increment, giving their wage increase based on the skill levels they attain. So I think
Okay.
those
Okay.
kind of, robust systems are there. We're just implementing in terms of, let's say somebody is at an level one, how does he go to level two, and how does a level two go to a level three, and so on and so forth. So I think building those entire systems and
Yeah.
mechanisms where
Yeah. Yeah.
not just a white collar, even a blue collar employee sees
Right.
this as something which is important for him, and sees a, a carrot, or I would say some kind of you know, motivation for himself to attain that level, because then his own wage increase or his own
Right.
reward would increase. So I think
Beautiful.
these are some of the
Beautiful.
things which we are doing,
The
and which is
very first one is very insightful. The very first one that you mentioned, I think, is a very, very central to driving any transformation, any kind of a digital transformation or overall organizational transformation. You actually said among the large workforce, identify and spot those early adopters. I think create that critical mass of people who are easy to sort of convince and they easily absorb these kind of changes. I think that's a very, very interesting insight for any HR professional who is watching us. I think that's the starting point. Now, don't
yeah,
try to sort of go whole hog and try to change everything at a time, which is going to backfire. I think start identifying this core group and then penetrate much wider. Once you start experiencing the benefits of this transformation, then I think other people also will start falling into this. Excellent lesson in change management. Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you so much. Great. So in all of this, and now before we conclude, I just want to understand, what are your 2 3 leadership beliefs that keep guiding you back of your mind?
Yeah. Uh, See, I think I believe that as a leader, you need to bring some deep expertise to the table, and I think leaders have to develop
Okay.
that expertise and demonstrate that day in day out. So this entire framework of T. You need to have a broader capabilities. Let's say you're a HR leader, you need to have this broader capability around various facets of HR, but also have a deep T, something, a deep capability. So for example, in my case, it was always handling manufacturing organizations, industrial relations. And when I say manufacturing organizations, I'm not talking only about industrial relations. So I have a very good understanding of the entire framework, how a manufacturing works, be it pollution, be it safety, be it legal framework. So being, when you are saying you're a leader, you have that deep T, have a deep sense of expertise, and also have a
Mhm.
broader expertise across areas, because you just can't focus on one area, but you still need to have one strong area with which you pivot, and you bring to the table and manage the whole affairs. The
Right.
second important thing which I felt as a leader is, uh, humility is one of the very, very big leadership virtue which is very underrated. When you are humble, people come to you, they talk to you, they share their concerns, they collaborate with you. Especially as you grow, you generally, people tend to get detached because they see you as a more of a position, a HR head,
Mhm. Mhm.
COO, a CFO. What happens is, then people at a very ground level or a mid level, they have an inhibition to come to you. So one of the biggest strength, or I would say virtue, is, have that humility, move with that humility around, so that people come to you, speak to you, share with you, and then you develop those insights with which you can, guide or make the transformation. And the third important thing, as I said earlier, also, I think resilience. I think in my life, I have faced a lot of setbacks, thanks to my family, my wife, children, my mother in the earlier part of my life, who have supported. But I think individually, more than the family, you need to be individually very resilient, because you will have setbacks, you will have things to bury, you will have things where you fail, but still you have to come back and lead from the front. So I think these three are something: deep subject matter expertise, resilience, and humility. And I think the last one, which today has become the norm, and I just don't wanted to mention in the three, is that integrity. I think as a leader, I've seen a lot of people fail only because they're very good leaders, but just did something wrong. One posh case, one case of code of conduct violation, and the entire career
Yeah.
suffers. So as leaders, the compass, or your value system has to be absolutely spot on. There is nothing called 99% integrity. You are either 100% or zero. 99% also doesn't matter. So I think having a very strong value system around integrity and some of this stuff as a leader is very important. I think in my career, I have carried myself like that. I didn't want to emphasize in the first three because I thought it's a given, but I also reflect that some of the people who have failed because of those issues. This has
No,
been
I think
another important
extremely
insight.
important point that you brought out. I think the margin of error is nil, is zero, as you keep growing as a leader more and more. Maybe when you are very junior or something, maybe you can plead ignorance that I didn't know,
Yes.
so therefore I committed a small error of judgment. But I think as you keep growing, there is no such margin of error at all.
Yes.
I mean, that's where I think I see some leaders saying, "Isn't it unfair that I'm also a human being?" But I guess, yeah, I think that's the kind of a baggage that you need to carry if you really want to grow and stand as a leader of credibility. I think that's a very, very important point what you really brought out. It's so clear. You actually said build on your expertise, and keep staying resilient and maintain humility. I think these are these might sound as very easy words, but I just wanted to pause and reflect on that, because the moment expertise building in me, humility keeps going down. I
Yes.
think that's the interesting kind of a balance that leaders have to strike. Yes, I think I'm growing as an expert, but humility also is growing along with that. It is not inversely proportional,
Yes.
which is typically possible for a human being. I mean, we typically see a lot of people, more expert they become, I think less humble. They also turn out to be. There's a potential trap that I think one must really avoid. Amazing, amazing. Excellent. So I know, I think, Srinivas Garu, I think no time with you is enough time. I just realized it. I started thinking that it would be about 30 to 40 minutes. It's already 45 minutes that we have spent together. And I still feel inadequate, that I think there is so much more to listen and to learn from you. So possibly, I think we will find maybe a different occasion and a different mechanism to again reconnect with you and learn much more. But for today, it has been such a sumptuous kind of a serving of insights. Really, I really mean it, and I'm speaking from my heart here. Starting from very, very, you actually said lower middle class, tough situations, to what we are talking as a leadership and the future and the transformation. I think that your life has been wonderful teaching forum. But in all of this, I know you are the person who went through all this journey. I think whatever words that you actually mentioned, I think you've been really guided by those principles. You've been really working with a lot of resilience, highest integrity, and never give up kind of attitude. And most importantly, the very beginning you mentioned, which is you always nurtured that achievement orientation. So there's an aspiration. The moment we give up that aspiration, there is nothing else that we actually put effort into. So, but these are the interesting lessons, very, very inspiring. I must really say, there are plenty of people who possibly are not endowed with fantastic backgrounds and rich families and all of that, but there is nothing that can stop if people can listen to some of the insights that you have shared. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much for giving us this time, and more importantly, sharing very candidly your personal experiences. No wonder we call this as Leaders' Lives Legacies. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Raj. Thank you for the kind words, and thanks for inviting me and giving an opportunity to share my experiences. Wonderful talking to you.
Thank you very much. We will again connect up very shortly, maybe through a different forum. Thank you.
Yes, yes. I would love to do that. Thank you.